latest Call of Duty, which is Modern Warfare, officially comes out on October 25th. We've been fortunate enough to get a glimpse of the game during the alpha event in August, and now it's mid-September, we've got more of an insight into the multiplayer aspect during the beta event. I had early access to beta, so I played Modern Warfare all evening to get a feel of the game, find out what was new, and get a sense of what we got in store when it finally launches. Here's everything that I found out. The first thing that you notice straight away is the absence of a permanent minimap, which seems crazy because a minimap is always being present. It acts as the eye in the sky, showing the layout of the map, the movement of the players, and the location of enemy gunfire. So without the minimap present, there's a lot of tension to the game. It feels a lot more realistic and like playing campaign mode, but it's a massive hindrance to multiplayer, and we run into a few major problems. Camping. No minimap leads to players being overly cautious and a lot of happy campers. I found that a lot of players prefer to camp until getting a personal radar or a UAV with their kill streaks and then venturing out from their camping spots. You really have to learn the map, and this puts new players at a disadvantage as you really have to learn the map well to play. I was playing on one map and didn't realise that it was absolutely massive, and I'd been accidentally restricting myself to one area because I couldn't tell where the borders were. No minimap leads to a reliance on sound. Usually enemies engaging in gunfire would light up on the map, but now you have to rely on the sound in the game to tell you where the gunfire is coming from. This isn't so great because sometimes the sound isn't always accurate. It's the same problem that we experienced in Blackout and Black Ops 4. And finally, it's hard to tell where you are. It's hard to tell where you are on a map in relation to other players and objectives such as flags in domination. You can see the outlines of your teammates through the walls, but there's no great sense of depth or how far away they are. In a similar manner, the arrows pointing to the objectives just show you the direction to head in, but there's no clear way to tell how far away they are or which one is closest. Players can now interact with the environment. On other Call of Duty games, the items within the maps are simply just there. Buildings mark the routes, and additional items such as cars are great to hide behind. In the new Modern Warfare, certain parts of the environment can be interacted with. The most notable thing being that certain doors can be opened and closed. This presents a great opportunity to strategize and either block enemies in a certain area or encourage them to take a certain route. I did notice the button to open and close the doors is square, which is also the same button that forces a weapon to reload. Sometimes I'd hold down square and instead of opening a door, my gun would reload. This is a similar problem in Black Ops 4 during Search and Destroy, where sometimes instead of deactivating a bomb, the gun would reload. Hopefully this will be fixed. Another thing that I found I could interact with that was particularly fun was in a playground in one of the maps. I could run up the slide and spin the carousel. Both of these things aren't really necessary to the game, but it does make the environment feel more real. Players now have barricades. As I've mentioned before, the lack of a minimap encourages players to camp. Presumably, as a preemptive action against this, Infinity Ward have now given players barricades to use. But what happens is players simply plant one in a convenient spot and then camp behind it. It doesn't really solve the camping problem. Respawns are really useful. When respawning, you get a great flyover shot of the map, which shows the positions of the players below. The map then zooms in on your respawn point and away you go. This is incredibly useful to get a feel of the size of a map, the location of other players, the position of buildings, and where objectives might be in relation to where you are. But of course, this shot only lasts for a second or two, so while it's helpful at the time, it's still not the same as a minimap, particularly for determining player locations, which will easily have changed by the time you start running. Map design. The colours in the maps are saturated yet sufficiently decayed. It definitely feels like a Modern Warfare game. I like the addition of little areas dotted around the map that helps to give it personality. I noticed several little shops such as a tyre shop which had a story behind it. There's also a playground in one of the maps, and these things, whilst not really bringing much to the actual game, really does help to bring the map alive. The black and white screen. When you get hit by an enemy, you get the usual blood splatter on the screen, but in Modern Warfare you also lose all other colours. The map turns black and white. This was an issue that lots of people complained about when it was first revealed in the alpha event, so it does seem like this might be here for good. I really hope Infinity Ward put the saturation back for the launch, because it's distracting. Now, some bugs that I noticed whilst I was playing. It's worth noting them because several did impact on the game, and hopefully they are addressed for the game's release. Some of the weapons are extremely powerful. Sometimes it feels like a one-hit kill. Whilst this is good if you're the one who's shooting at people, if an enemy is trying to kill you, it doesn't leave you any time to escape or retaliate before dying. The movement of the player feels somewhat laggy. And I don't know if this is because I've been playing a lot of Black Ops 4 recently, so it feels slower in comparison, but it very much feels like my player is moving underwater. You have to press square to open and close the doors, and also pressing square to reload your gun. And sometimes when you're stood in front of a door, pressing square just reloads your gun instead of opening or closing the door. Overall, I'm really excited for this main game to come out in October. I think the maps will be great for different game modes, and the ability to interact with the environment, to open and close the doors, puts an emphasis on strategy. It's something we haven't seen before in previous installments, so I'm really excited to see how this is going to play out. I'm not so thrilled to see that the mini-map is gone. I think it massively impacts on the game and causes lots of major problems, so I hope Infinity Ward change their minds on this.